Rain is a pathetic loser, good-for-nothing guy. People using him discarded and thrown him out like a dog. But later, he gets his revenge by taming a bunch of cute and powerful animal girls that everyone dreams of. At the start of the story, he is lucky enough to be scouted by a hero party. He thinks he has a chance with 2 beautiful chicks in his team, but all of them bully him, especially the dude. They use him day and night and still think he's useless because Rain only has a girly Cinderella taming power that allows him to communicate with animals, form contracts with them, and use animals for his benefit like spying and scouting. Despite his hard work, the others look down on him for his lack of combat skills. In a harsh turn of events, Rain is dismissed by the arrogant party leader, Arios Orlando, who openly tells him that he's a burden. Stunned by these cold words, Rain quietly removes his hero cloak and walks away, disheartened. He takes a seat on a bench in the town square, reflecting on the cruel remarks he had previously brushed off. Now he's left to figure out how to make a living. Just as he's deep in thought, a group of children runs up to him, eager for him to show them his special trick again. Rain stands up and casts a spell, forming a temporary contract with a bird soaring overhead. The bird lands gracefully before them and bows, causing the children to clap with excitement. The children express their dream of one day becoming a beast tamer like him. Rain asks why they don't aspire to become heroic warriors. The children respond with a casual dismissal of heroes, labeling them as elitist and dismissive of common folk. Instead, they dream of becoming adventurers, traveling the world and seeking fortune. This sparks an idea in Rain's mind for his next move. Later that day, Rain visits the Adventurers Guild, hoping to find a new path. Nayli, the receptionist, explains that aspiring adventurers must first complete a trial quest to prove their worth. The test requires him to kill 10 goblins and collect 20 medicinal herbs. With the help of a squirrel, Rain locates a goblin group and easily takes them down, despite his lack of combat training, as they are only F-rank monsters. While gathering the goblins' runestones, a scream echoes from deeper in the woods. Rain rushes toward the sound and finds an AD-ranked killer tiger attacking a defenseless woman. He attempts to strike the tiger's back, but his blade shatters against its tough hide. The tiger turns its attention to him, prompting the woman to spring into action. With a powerful leap, she kicks the tiger down, killing it with ease. As Rain gets a better look at her, he realizes she's no ordinary woman. She's a cat spirit, a member of an ultimate species on the verge of extinction. Known for their magical abilities, cat spirits have evolved to possess incredible athletic prowess. After offering her some of his food, Rain learns that she's been traveling, bored by life in her small community. When she saw Rain, she sensed great power within him and recognized him as a skilled beast tamer. She believes that he's capable of taming her, and with a desire to form a bond with her, Rain agrees. Rain begins the taming ritual, biting his thumb to spill a drop of blood onto his palm, creating a magical rune. He chants the incantation, successfully forming a contract between them. Both Rain and the cat spirit, now bonded, bear a rune on their hands as a symbol of their connection. With the ritual complete, Rain continues his trial quest. He summons temporary contracts with several rabbits to gather the necessary medicinal herbs. Kane is deeply impressed by Rain's abilities. While most beast tamers can only manage one temporary contract at a time, Rain has not only tamed her, a rare and powerful ultimate species, but can also handle multiple contracts simultaneously. Rain returns to the guild with the required items and passes his trial. Rain is officially recognized as an F-ranked adventurer by the Horizon Adventurers Guild. Natalie hands him his adventurer's card, which will serve as his ID from now on, along with a reward of 50 copper coins. While it's a nice gesture, it's not nearly enough to cover lodging and other basic needs. So Rain decides to take on more jobs later that day. Kanai is waiting for him at the guild's diner when he returns. As he walks in, a brutish man approaches them, trying to convince Kanai to join him for lunch instead of Rain. Kanai, ever loyal, defends her master's strength and tells the man to get lost. His ego bruised, the man challenges Rain to an arm wrestling contest to determine who is truly the stronger of the two. The winner gets to keep Kanai. Normally, Rain would never entertain such challenges, but he wants to put an end to the man's harassment once and for all. He sighs, bracing for a humiliating loss. However, when the match begins, Rain slams the man's arm down so forcefully that the table shatters and the man crashes to the floor, crying in defeat. Mehdi, who arrives to investigate the commotion, scolds the man and apologizes to both Rain and Connie for the disturbance. She mentions that the man has a history of complaints and is likely to be suspended from the guild soon. With that, she drags the defeated man out by the leg. Rain is left stunned, wondering where this newfound strength came from. Kanai explains that one of the benefits of their contract is that he now shares in her superhuman strength. Rain, now more confident, is ready to take on more quests, but Kanai is disappointed when they're assigned a simple herb collection task. As an F-ranked adventurer, Rain is stuck with low-level jobs that barely pay enough to survive. Still, they gather enough herbs with the help of the rabbits and are about to return to town when Kanei's keen cat ears pick up the sound of shouting in the distance. They rush toward the noise and find an old man being harassed by a gang claiming to be part of the Ibon Fang, an infamous and ruthless group of bandits known for their many heinous crimes. Without hesitation, Rain and Kane charge in, catching the ruffians off guard. Rain easily overpowers the bandits with his newfound strength, while Kane checks on the old man, who warns them that defying the Ibon Fang often leads to brutal revenge. But Rain, undeterred, decides that they will take the fight to the bandits first. Kane expresses concern that Rain may be aiming too high, but he assures her that he has a plan. A squirrel leads them to the Ibon Fang's heavily guarded hideout. Rain forms a temporary contract with an Arby, a special kind of bee with a paralytic sting that can immobilize a person for up to 12 hours. He instructs Kanai to head back to town and gather adventurers and knights for backup. While she races off to get reinforcements, Rain contracts hundreds more Arby bees and commands them to begin their work. Soon, all the bandits are immobilized, and the adventurers Kane brought are quick to round them up. But, as they begin to secure the criminals, Rain notices that no knights have shown up. One of the adventurers explains that the knights didn't deem the situation significant enough to intervene. At that moment, the cave begins to tremble and loud growls echo from behind thick bars. 3 giant C-ranked monsters known as king lizards break free and charge at them. This is a nightmare scenario for even the most experienced adventurers, but Rain and Kane handle the beasts with ease, buying time for the others to take down the bandits and escape. As they exit the cave, the adventurers cheer and applaud, marking the first time Rain's efforts have been truly appreciated. Meanwhile, back at his former party's camp, the members of his old team are yelling at their newly hired Beast Tamer for failing to conduct proper reconnaissance and putting everyone in danger. The rookie responds, saying that their demands were unreasonable, expecting him to tame 10 to 20 animals at once. But the heroes, accustomed to Rain's abilities, accuse the rookie of lying and fire him on the spot. The takedown of Ibon Fang is considered so impressive that the guild invites Rain and specially promotes him to an E-rank adventurer, rewarding him with a generous amount of silver coins. They splurge their money on new equipment, eat a luxurious meal, and finally rent a room for lodging that night. It's a nice break from camping. A week passes since Rain met Kanad, and their quests have been smooth sailing so far. One day, Natalie gives them a quest to get rid of a troublemaker called the Guardog, who has been tormenting people trying to cross the Stride Bridge, the only path to trade from the central continent to the southern continent. Rain doesn't want to pass on the lofty prize of 5 gold coins and gladly accepts it. Rain tries to gather information about the identity of the Guardog, but nobody is willing to share. So with no prior knowledge, he and Kanad head to the bridge. As soon as they arrive, a giant red dragon lands in front of them and turns into a woman who tells them to fight her. She admits she is the so-called Guardog and introduces herself as Tanya, one of the Dragonoids. It's custom for the Dragonoids, one of the ultimate species, to set out on a journey at the age of 15 to train and become stronger. Tanya has been waiting for a worthy opponent to fight at the bridge, and she challenges them to a 2-on-1 fight, refusing to leave the bridge. She begins by attacking Rain, but he barely manages to block her. Tanya follows up by blowing fire toward them, causing Kanad's tail to get burned at the tip. Upset, Kanad jumps at her, and the two engage in a catfight. Both girls are evenly matched, so Rain tries to step in to tip the balance in their favor. However, Tanya surprisingly grabs them both and flings them into the air, launching a powerful firestorm at them. Kanad grabs Rain midair and uses her athletic abilities to dodge the flames, safely landing them on the bridge. Having come up with a plan, Rain asks Kanad to buy him some time. Fully trusting him, she fights Tanya head-on while Rain runs off to the side to look for a bird he spotted when Tanya flung them into the air. He finds it and forms a temporary contract with it. He asks the bird to bring its friends. Upon his instruction, the birds swarm Tanya and start pecking at her. Tanya sees them as a mere annoyance and tries to shoo them away, but they persist. Of course, a Dragonoid can't be hurt by just birds. However, before Tanya can take another step, she suddenly crumbles to the ground. Rain explains that the birds are pedo birds, and their colorful plumage indicates they are poisonous. Unable to lift a finger, Tanya accepts defeat. Reen asks her to promise not to cause problems at the bridge again and to come with them once she's recovered. First, they go to the guild to inform Natalie that the matter has been taken care of. Natalie praises them and promises to give them their reward. Once the guild verifies the claim, she notices Tanya's horns and questions who she is. Reen quickly covers for her, claiming she's a normal human they met during their quest and that she's only wearing a costume. He explains that if the town finds out there's a dragon in the area, everyone will panic. Next, he escorts Tanya to the woods and asks her to go as far away as possible from the town to continue her training. Tanya is taken aback by this offer because she expected to be sold by him. Charmed by his kindness and ability, she asks to join their adventures for her training. Jealous, Kanad hesitantly agrees to her request, and Reen is more than happy to grow his party. With that settled, Reen forms a contract with Tanya as well and tames her. Later that night, Arios and his party return to town after an unsuccessful week of exploring the woods. They ran into many obstacles because they couldn't handle the jobs Reen would normally do. Arios decides to take advantage of Reen's niceness by asking him to join the party again so that they can use him to clear the lost woods and abandon him afterward. Good luck with that. At nighttime, the two animal girls are fighting over who gets to sleep on the bed with Rain. While they're fighting, our idiot Rain falls asleep on the floor so the two girls can sleep on the bed. The first quest the trio does together is exterminating slimes. Slimes are F-rank monsters that any adventurer can kill and are largely ignored. Due to this, their populations sometimes burst, and they swarm the town, causing a lot of inconvenience. The trio finds it harder than expected to locate many slimes, so Reen comes up with a new approach. He uses the Assimilate skill to temporarily transfer his consciousness into the bird, a skill that sets him apart from other beast tamers, according to Canaday and Tanya. This allows him to control the bird's body, gaining a bird's eye view while his actual body remains dormant. He uses his bird body to scout a slime while his two girls are busy fighting over who's going to take care of his body while he's away. Eventually, he spots a large swarm and directs the team to gather around it. Tanya asks him if he can cast spells, and Reen admits that he knows the basics but struggles with more advanced ones. Tanya encourages him to try casting Fireball on the swarm. He doubts it will be enough to eliminate the entire group, but decides to give it a shot. To his surprise, when he casts the spell, it results in an enormous fireball that wipes out the swarm completely. Tanya had correctly guessed that since Reen acquired Canade's superhuman strength from their contract, he would also inherit Tanya's dragonoid fire magic abilities. They use the remainder of the quest to help him refine his spellcasting control. After completing the quest, the trio is rewarded with a hefty sum of money, which they spend on a lavish dinner. During the meal, Reen shares his past. He grew up in a nameless village full of beast tamers, including his parents. He was exposed to beast taming from a very young age. However, his peaceful childhood was shattered when he was 12. After practicing in the woods, he saw a red sky and smelled smoke. Rushing home, he found his village destroyed and everyone he knew dead. Monsters had attacked while he was gone. An adventurer party rescued him, and he spent the years that followed working odd jobs to survive. Less than a year ago, Arios had recruited him into his party. Initially, he was eager to join, hoping to prevent more tragedies, but now he realizes that they were only using him. Kanade and Tanya are deeply moved by his story and express pride in having him as their master. Their next quest is to eliminate orcs around the town. Orcs are E-rank monsters, stronger and smarter than goblins, often wielding weapons. Reen, Kanade, and Tanya clear several bands of orcs with ease, causing Tanya to grow complacent. However, when she least expects it, she's ambushed by orcs, and only saved thanks to Reen and Kanade's quick thinking. Tanya is shaken by Reen's minor injury, but he reassures her and uses his healing power to heal himself. Deeply affected, Tanya feels ashamed of her lapse in caution and becomes too embarrassed to face Reen. When they return to town, Reen gently confronts her, and she immediately apologizes for causing him harm. He smiles, accepting her apology, and kindly advises her to be more careful next time, as he and Kanade care about her. His kindness leaves her speechless and blushing. At nighttime, she looks at him while he's sleeping and admires him, thinking he is the perfect man to mate with. Since she is a dragon, mating season makes her feel a strong urge. She even dress up for it, but our idiot Rain is sleeping like a pig. The next day, the trio breezes through their quests, heading back to town. On the way, they encounter Arios and his party. Reen instinctively starts to walk away, but Arios stops him, shocked to see him with two ultimate species by his side. Arios arrogantly asks him to rejoin the party, stating that they've been struggling with the Lost Woods expedition and could use his help. However, Reen, now confident in his own worth, firmly declines the offer. One of the heroes in the group calls out to him as he walks away. She reveals that their mission in the Lost Woods is to retrieve one of the noble relics, the Shield of Truth, which is crucial for defeating the Demon King. Without it, monsters would continue to run rampant, killing civilians. This mention of the Demon King stirs painful memories for Reen, forcing him to reconsider. Reluctantly, he agrees to join their mission. Tanya and Kanade step forward, demanding an apology from Arios for his previous mistreatment of Reen. The hero, too prideful to ask for forgiveness, insults the girls by calling them Reen's pets. This provocation causes Reen to snap, and he punches the hero in retaliation. Infuriated, Arios challenges Reen and his comrades to prove which group is stronger. Kanade immediately takes on the bald swordsman, using a storm of punches to overwhelm him. The swordsman tries to retaliate with a flashy technique, but Kanade simply kicks his sword away. Realizing he can't possibly defeat her, he hesitates before his next attack and questions why such a powerful ultimate species would choose to serve someone he considers incompetent. This comment infuriates Kanade, and she delivers a powerful kick straight to his face, knocking him out cold. Next, Tanya faces off against the party's two mages. They quickly unleash their first spells at her, but Tanya stands her ground, snapping her fingers. With that simple gesture, the spells dissolve into nothingness. The mages try again, casting different spells, but each one vanishes with another snap of her fingers. Tanya explains that she is using Material Cleanser, a technique that identifies a spell at its core and neutralizes it with a perfect counterspell. The mages keep trying, but they quickly become exhausted and are unable to cast any more spells. Tanya warns them that she could annihilate them with high-level magic, but reveals she was bluffing for Reen's sake. Finally, it's Reen versus Arios. Arios tries to make a snide comment, but Reen silences him with a punch to the face. Arios draws his sword and attacks with rapid, barely visible swings, but they're nothing compared to the power Reen faced when he fought Tanya at the Stride Bridge. Reen finds an opening and delivers a punch to Arios' gut, stunning him with his superhuman strength, a strength he's sure he didn't have before. Arios switches to magic, but Reen counters easily, using his dragonoid strength to overpower a lightning spell with a fireball. Arios, knowing that Reen only knows basic magic like fireball and healing, launches a flurry of magical attacks that Reen can't easily counter. Realizing he needs to fight in his comfort zone, Reen abandons magic and returns to his beast-taming roots. Arios charges at him with magic, but as he approaches, he suddenly feels a sharp pain and collapses to the ground. Reen reveals that he formed a temporary remote contract with an Arby during the fight, showing that beast tamers are far from useless. For his own satisfaction, Reen finishes the fight with an earth-shaking blow, leaving Arios in shock. After the battle, the heroes hand over the task to Reen and his comrades. The Shield of Truth, which is vital to defeating the Demon King, is currently in the possession of monsters deep in the Lost Woods. The trio heads into the Lost Woods to retrieve it. The Lost Woods is a labyrinth that constantly shifts its shape, causing travelers to lose their way. Reen uses his assimilate skill to get an aerial view of the area, scouting for a path while his body remains under the watch of Kanade and Tanya. He eventually finds a route leading deeper into the forest, but they soon find themselves back at the spot where they had previously marked their way. Tanya, suspecting something more is at play, uses a material search spell to locate strong magical sources. Following the light orbs that appear, they are led to a large tree that releases illusionary magic, disorienting them and causing them to walk in circles. Tanya asks Kanade to destroy the tree to stop the magic, but Reen suggests they try to disarm it without destroying it. Before they can proceed, Kanade launches a powerful kick at the tree. However, just before her attack connects, a strange voice emanates from the tree, repeatedly telling them to leave. The voice grows louder as a glowing fairy with wings emerges from the tree. Realizing they're dealing with an ultimate species, fairies, known for their powerful magic, stronger even than dragonoids, they try to explain their intentions, but the fairy repeatedly cuts them off, demanding that they leave. When they don't listen, the fairy threatens to force them out with magic, causing the trio to retreat without further words. Once they are a safe distance away, Rain explains that fairies hold a deep resentment toward humans due to the long history of conflict between the two species. Fairies, once abundant in the forests, have seen most of their habitat destroyed and now find refuge in the few remaining dense woods. Rain speculates that the tree's barrier is likely protecting the Shield of Truth. Tanya and Canaday begin brainstorming strategies to destroy the tree and retrieve the shield, but Rain decides it might be better to attempt speaking with the fairy again. He believes that resolving things peacefully might offer a better outcome. Rain returns to the tree with Kanai and Tanya, instructing them to stay behind as he approaches the fairy alone. The fairy, sensing his presence, threatens to attack unless he leaves immediately. Rain, determined to show his sincerity, allows the attack to hit him. Arrows rain down on him, grazing his body, but Rain stands firm, smiling. The fairy is momentarily shocked by his calm response, and Rain seizes the moment to explain his good intentions. However, the fairy snaps out of her confusion and launches another attack. This time, Canny and Tanya step in to protect Rain, blocking the incoming magic. They then appeal to the fairy, sharing how Rain has helped them in the past. This catches the fairy's interest, and she decides to listen to their plea. She introduces herself as Sora. Once the conversation unfolds, Sora reveals that she is the one who created the barrier around the tree, protecting the fairy village. She explains that the Shield of Truth is being safeguarded by the fairies, not monsters, and because the shield is essential to defeating the Demon King, she agrees to give it to them. Surprisingly, her hatred for monsters runs deeper than her hatred for humans, which makes the retrieval of the shield easier than anticipated. The trio thanks Sora and begins their journey back, but Rain can't shake the feeling that something is off. He turns back to ask Sora if there's anything troubling her. Sora hesitates, but eventually confesses that she has a twin sister, Luna. Together, they had once maintained the barrier, but when they ventured out for a brief period, they encountered a Shadow Knight, a powerful monster from the Demon King's army. The monster captured Luna and demanded that Sora lower the barrier and reveal the village in exchange for her sister's freedom. Unable to defy her village, Sora sought help, but the village leaders chose safety over Luna's life. Torn, Sora was left with no choice but to run back to the village, leaving her sister behind. Kanai and Tanya are puzzled by how two powerful fairies could be defeated by a C-rank monster. Rain explains that Shadow Knights have the ability to absorb all magic, making them nearly invulnerable to magic-based attacks. This explains why even the fairies, with their magic reliance, couldn't defeat the monster. The trio decides to help Sora rescue her sister. Sora guides them to the Shadow Knight's location. Rain draws the monster's attention by launching a fireball at it. While he and Kanai ambush the monster with physical attacks, the knight turns on Sora's request and attempts to kill Luna for her betrayal. Tanya intervenes, shielding Luna and freeing her from her chains. Tanya escapes with Luna, while Rain and Kanai try to hold the knight off. Their attacks don't do enough damage, so Rain forms a temporary contract with an Orbi colony, using their distraction to buy time. The Orbeez swarm the monster, allowing Rain to enhance Kanai's powers with his Beast Hammer ability. With her boosted strength, Kanai strikes the Shadow Knight with a devastating blow, finally defeating it. The group returns Luna to Sora, who is relieved to see her sister safe. The two fairies, though identical in appearance, have starkly different personalities. Sora is gentle and composed, while Luna is brash and outspoken. Sora decides that they cannot return to the village that abandoned Luna, but they have nowhere else to go. Kanai extends an invitation for them to join their group. Rain agrees, though he is cautious, aware of the deep mistrust between fairies and humans. Sora, however, trusts Rain's sincerity and asks him to form a contract with them. Rain, unsure of how to tame fairies, struggles and nearly faints from the effort. Despite this, the fairies hold him up and accept him as their new master. After only 2 days, Rain hands over the Shield of Truth to the heroes, completing the quest. After handing over the Shield of Truth, the group initially suspects Rain of giving them a fake shield. They test it magically, only to be surprised that it's the real thing. As promised, they hand over the 20 coins to Rain. He turns to leave, but the bald man, the leader of the group, stops him and asks him to rejoin their party. Arios, clearly annoyed, is enraged that someone invited Rain without consulting him first. The bald man defends his decision, stating that they clearly need Rain's help to defeat the Demon King, and the other members reluctantly agree. The bald man extends his hand for a handshake to seal the deal, offering better pay and treatment this time. However, Rain, knowing their intentions haven't changed, refuses the offer. He already has a much better party waiting for him and doesn't need to deal with their attitude. As Rean walks away, the other members try to cope with the embarrassment of being rejected by insulting him. Arios stays behind, still furious over his earlier defeat, vowing to get revenge on Rain someday. Outside, the group discusses the legend of the Demon King. Rain explains that the Demon King has the power to control all humans, enslaving them for centuries. The first hero, however, was granted some of the gods' divine blood, which gave him the unique ability to surpass human limits in strength and magic. With this power, he was eventually able to defeat the Demon King and free humanity. But the threat of the Demon King still remains, and each generation of heroes is tasked with trying to defeat him once and for all. While Arios, currently too weak, may not be ready yet, Rain assures them that he will grow stronger in time. Sora and Luna point out that Rain's multiple contracts with Ultimate Species have boosted his strength many times over, making him similar to the first hero with his unique abilities. The group suggests that Rain should take on the mission to defeat the Demon King. Though Rain is willing, he admits that it is a big decision, so he wants some time to think it over. A few days later, the group agrees it's time for Rain to buy equipment to improve his fighting abilities. For the first time, Sora and Luna walk the town's streets, overwhelmed by the sheer number of humans around them. However, they quickly realize there's nothing to fear when they see Tanya and Kana interacting peacefully with the locals. The group visits the town's best equipment shop, run by a rather unfriendly dwarf. Rain browses the shelves and picks out a dagger, saying it's the weapon he feels most comfortable with. However, when he unsheathes it, he notices something strange. At that moment, a young man enthusiastically places a bag of gold coins on the counter and asks the dwarf for his best weapon. The dwarf hands him a beautiful sword, and the man leaves pleased with his new purchase. Rain, not convinced, approaches the dwarf. He points out that although the sword looks impressive, it's more suited as a trophy than a real weapon. The dwarf glares at him for a moment, but then bursts into laughter. He reveals that the swords on display are average and can be crafted with one hand. The dwarf explains that many customers come in expecting the best weapon without understanding their own abilities or compatibility with the weapon. The dwarf offers a separate collection of high-grade weapons, but only those who pass his test can see them. Impressed by Rain's insight, the dwarf offers to craft a special weapon just for him, though he lacks the necessary materials. He mentions that the ultra-rare mithril ore, a key ingredient, has run out. The mithril mountain passed down by his family has suddenly stopped producing, which strikes the dwarf as unusual. He suspects something may be wrong with the mine. The group offers to investigate the mine on his behalf. The dwarf, now excited, agrees and introduces himself as Gon Stolov. He asks how much they wish to be paid for the job, and Rain requests the best weapon the dwarf can make. Rain and all his girls were climbing the mountain to find the abandoned mine. Because the two little furries were too exhausted, they decided to camp and take a shower in the river. Rain, being a gentleman and a good tamer, tamed and asked the little squall to watch over the girls, just in case someone tried to peek at them. While they were showering, the ladies began comparing their buns to see whose were bigger. After a long hike, the party finally reaches the mithril mine, which at first glance looks abandoned. Suspicious of the sudden halt in mithril supply, Rain makes everyone hide, suspecting illegal miners are at work. Suddenly, a large bird swoops overhead, its loud call confirming his suspicions when two men emerge from the mine's shaft to investigate. Kanid and Tanya swiftly knock them out, making it difficult for Rain to extract any information from them. However, Sora and Luna use magic to peer into their memories, discovering that 7 adventurers have been illegally mining mithril for some time. The group wonders how they were discovered. Rain surmises that the bird may have been controlled by a beast tamer working with the illegal miners. Inside the mine, the remaining miners grow anxious as their 2 colleagues haven't returned. One of the miners, a mage, casts a fire spell into the passage that Rain's party is using. Luna and Sora cast a powerful barrier to protect them. The rest of the team, using their abilities, quickly binds the criminals. Rain confronts the beast tamer and demands his surrender, but the man refuses, summoning a behemoth, an AB rank monster, in retaliation. Behemoths are typically untamable due to their natural hatred of humans, but this beast has been tamed since childhood by the tamer. The behemoth's rampage causes tremors, threatening to collapse the mine. The others escort the bound adventurers outside while Rain stays behind to face the monster. As the behemoth attacks, Rain carefully observes its movements and dodges each blow. Meanwhile, Canada returns to help Reen, taking on the Beast Tamer. Reen realizes that if the Tamer loses control of the behemoth, it will stop attacking. Reen, confident in his abilities, casts a powerful spell that overwrites the Tamer's control, becoming the new master of the behemoth. The monster halts its attack, but when the Tamer orders it to kill Reen, the behemoth turns on him instead. In a final act of desperation, the Tamer desperately urges the behemoth to attack, but it instead becomes wild and uncontrollable, leading Reen to unleash a massive fireball that instantly kills the behemoth. Though regrettable, Reen sees no other choice. Outside the mine, all the adventurers confess to their illegal actions. They reveal that their motive was revenge, feeling cheated by Gantz, the dwarf, after receiving subpar weapons that failed them in battle. Upon hearing this, Gantz feels guilty and vows to pour more passion into his future crafts, thanking Reen and the others for bringing the truth to light. He asks Reen what weapon he desires, to which Reen requests a dagger and a goblet, whispering a special request to Gantz. The dwarf agrees to craft them. Meanwhile, Arios is interviewing adventurers for the party's open position of Beast Tamer, but he rejects all of them, feeling none compare to Reen's skills. As he dismisses the last applicant for the day, she tells him to rest, reminding him that his mission is to defeat the Demon King. Alone, Arios takes out a ring surrounded by a dark aura, declaring that his current mission is to eliminate Reen. Later, while Reen and the twin fairies, Sora and Luna, are taking a walk, they are suddenly approached by a handsome man with golden locks who asks for the girls' names. After they tell him, he arrogantly declares that they will be his. Reen, Sora, and Luna are taken aback, but the man introduces himself as Edgar Fromware, the Lord of Horizon, trying to intimidate them into submission. When they brush him off, Edgar orders his guards to take the girls by force. Reen, unshaken, defeats all of the guards in an instant. However, Edgar's guards fan out and threaten the nearby civilians, promising their deaths unless Sora and Luna are handed over. Reen is momentarily stumped, but then senses an instinctual urge. Trusting his newfound feeling, he casts multiple fireballs at once, unleashing a barrage of fire that overwhelms the guards and saves the civilians. Grateful civilians thank Reen for his heroism, but caution him to leave the town due to the Lord's corrupt influence. Back at their camp, the group discusses Edgar's dangerous behavior and devises a plan to stop him once and for all. Reen and Kanade approach the Order of Knights to report the situation, but the Knights dismiss their concerns, revealing their corrupt ties with the Lord. As they walk away in frustration, they are approached by Stella, the vice captain of the Order of Knights. She detests the corruption within the Knights and seeks to restore their honor. She believes Reen and Kanade can help her, and they agree to her plan. Stella and Reen's group spread a false rumor about a warehouse containing evidence of corruption. The corrupt Knights, including Captain Guylet, fall for the trap and head to the warehouse to investigate. Once inside, the door locks behind them, and Reen, with the help of the twins, begins his assault. Using a new magical gauntlet from Gantz, he fires arrows that incapacitate all the Knights, except for Captain Guylet, who proves a tough opponent. Stella steps forward to fight him and, after a brutal struggle, triumphs, slashing his throat. News of the Knights' defeat enrages Edgar, who punishes an abducted girl in his fury. Meanwhile, Arios, who shares Edgar's animosity toward Reen, enters his room and gives him a dark ring with the power to kill. Edgar, now more determined, plans to use the ring to eliminate Reen once and for all. As Stella and her loyal knights confront the Lord's mansion, Reen, Sora, and Luna sneak inside from the back, aiming to free the captured civilians. Luna uses her magical search abilities to locate the prisoners' signatures, finding one particularly strong magical presence above them. Reen decides to investigate and discovers a dark cell where a frightened, malnourished child with fox ears and 3 tails is locked up. The child introduces herself as Mina, a demigod who was captured by Edgar after he threatened her village. Reen attempts to remove a collar from her neck, but it's enchanted with a powerful taming magic that resists his efforts. Despite the pain, Reen perseveres and breaks the collar, freeing Mina. Meanwhile, Kanade and Tanya fight off the guards, holding them back while Reen helps Mina. The guards, realizing they're losing, start using the kidnapped civilians as hostages. As Reen and his party regroup, Luna and Sora arrive just in time to launch multi-shot fireballs, clearing the area and ensuring the victims are safely relocated. This allows Kanaid and Tanya to fight without any concerns about the civilians' safety. Within a minute, they defeat the remaining guards and reunite with Reen, who warmly greets Mina. Meanwhile, Reen and Stella begin discussing possible proof of the Lord's wrongdoings. Their conversation is interrupted when the Lord attempts to flee the mansion, running straight into them. Stella demands that he surrender, but the Lord refuses. In response, Reen uses magic to bind him and silence his protests. Just then, Edgar bursts into the room and uses the cursed ring to cast a death spell on Reen. A Grim Reaper appears, striking Reen in the chest with a fatal blow. Arios, watching from the roof with a twisted grin, believes Reen is finally dead and vanishes into the shadows. However, Reen stands unharmed, confused about what just happened. Everyone is stunned, trying to understand how he survived an epic-level instant death spell. Luna, ever bold, tests a theory by casting a poison gas spell on him. When it also has no effect, she realizes that Reen's contract with the fairies has granted him the ability to nullify even the most powerful magic. Frustrated, Edgar watches Reen stand victorious, and his anger feeds the dark magic within the ring. The demon trapped inside is released, its immense power causing Reen's heart to stop. The demon flies away from the mansion, and Reen immediately understands its true target, the people of the city. Reen's party quickly follows the demon, with Stella staying behind to protect the civilians and Mina remaining safely in the mansion. The demon proves to be an overwhelming foe, injuring both Kanaid and Tanya despite Reen's best efforts to boost their strength. They unleash a barrage of attacks, but the demon remains unscathed, summoning hordes of monsters to attack them. As the battle rages on, the hero's party watches helplessly as Horizon burns. Arios orders them to stay back, unwilling to allow any more interference. Meanwhile, Natalie rallies the town's adventurers and organizes a defense against the monsters. With Gantz supplying the best weapons, the adventurers join Reen's party in cutting down the monsters. Meanwhile, Sora and Luna, with Stella's help, work to round up the remaining civilians and prepare to teleport them to safety. The civilians are hesitant to enter the portal when they realize the twins are fairies, but Stella reassures them, and they eventually comply. A few civilians, recalling their positive interactions with Sora and Luna, trust the twins enough to step into the portal. Encouraged by their initiative, others follow suit. After the first wave of teleportations, however, the area is swarmed by a horde of monsters. Sora continues to teleport people, while Luna faces off against the monsters with Stella and her knights. Mina watches the chaos unfold, struggling internally with whether to fight or stay out of it. Reen and his party soon realize they need to get closer to the demon to inflict any significant damage. Tanya's dragon form, while powerful, is too large a target to risk flying directly at the demon. Nina, who has been observing, runs up to Reen and offers to help. She reveals her instant teleportation ability, which is so fast she can move him from one spot to another within a second, allowing him to dodge the demon's attacks with ease. With Nina's help, Reen gets up close to the demon. He enhances his powers with a boost and uses his magic to bind the demon, struggling to override the control it has over its minions. Miraculously, he succeeds, ordering the monsters to turn on their master. The demon is overwhelmed by the combined assault and is finally defeated. The repeated use of her teleportation ability takes a heavy toll on Nina, and she collapses from exhaustion. Luckily, Tanya is there to catch them before they fall. With the demon defeated, Reen's party and the knights celebrate their victory. The civilians, grateful for the protection, begin rebuilding their town. Horizon, being a large town, is able to recover quickly, and Kanaid's superhuman strength is invaluable in the reconstruction efforts. Stella is officially promoted to captain of the Order of Knights in Horizon, while the corrupt knights are sent to the capital for punishment. Tanya's true identity as a dragonoid has been discovered, but the town accepts her without hesitation. Despite being fairies, Sora and Luna also fit in seamlessly. Later, at Nina's request, Reen forms a contract with her, officially making her the newest member of their party. Reen is also promoted to a C-rank adventurer by the guild in recognition of his heroic actions. Now that his party is growing, they decide to buy a house to serve as their base of operations. However, the house turns out to be haunted. Undeterred, they befriend the ghost and add her to their party as well. The hero's party tries to gather free rations from the town, but their attempts at extortion fail miserably. The townspeople drive them out, criticizing them for not being more helpful during the demon attack. It's a stark reminder that their position is not as secure as they might think. Despite the setback, the party celebrates their new home with a feast. As Reen enjoys the warmth and comfort of his friends, He realizes that this feeling is new to him. He hasn't felt this way since losing his parents in his hometown. The emotions overwhelm him, and he breaks into tears, but his friends are there to console him, wiping away his tears as they continue to celebrate.